Hey, have you ever asked the universe to give you a break and then quite literally got one? Well, let me tell you a story about the same chair, two broken toes 5 years apart, and a whole lot of lessons learned. So, several years ago, right around this time of year, I was feeling overwhelmed and like I had too much to do. I had a young son and my daughter. I was busy with so many things that had to get done on a regular basis and was rushing around from here to there just to make everything fit into place, everything flow. And I also had this state of being, this mentality where I just wanted a break. I just wanted 5 minutes where I could sit down, rest, relax, recharge, but I didn't feel like that was a possibility. I didn't feel like I was capable of taking that time to myself, and something somewhere always seemed that it was the more important thing to be dealing with in each now moment. So here's the scene. It was one of those days where I was feeling flabbergasted, like there was too much to do. I was rushing around and had too many things on my plate at the same time. And lo and behold, I was going from one part of the house to another part of the house at a little bit too high of a speed and walked into a chair that I had in the middle of the living room. And the legs of this chair are sort of a triangular sort of shape, and they stick out from the base of the chair, and I managed to get the pole of the chair between my little toe and the rest of my foot, and it snapped right off into a completely different direction. Now, I was wearing a sock at the time, and I knew instantly what had happened. It wasn't even that painful. It was just so obvious that something was off, and I was too much of a chicken, so I asked my daughter to come and check what had happened to my foot, and she took off the sock, and we saw that the toe was facing in the wrong direction, and it was gross. I sent a message to my general doctor, almost in a state of denial of what had occurred, and I asked him if it would be possible to simply push the toe back into place myself. Maybe it was just sprained, maybe it was just out of its socket or something like that. And I sent him a photo and he called me crazy. And he said, "Jessie, go to the emergency room, your toe is broken." I spent the rest of the day in the emergency room with the lovely people at that hospital. Explained to me that I was crazy and my toe was broken and that I would need to take several weeks off for the taking care of myself. Now, as you can imagine, I didn't want to have several weeks off of not walking and spending all that time taking care of myself when I perceived of myself as having, quote, too much to do. But it was clear to me that the universe was delivering exactly what I had asked for in the form of a break. And I, since then, have never used that word again. Instead, you will hear me often say, it's time for me to have a pause. It's time for me to slow down. It's time for me to recharge, refresh, etc. But I will never ask for a break again. Now, the universe is a tricky little bugger. It will deliver on your words. Words are powerful. I'm always sharing this story when I'm talking about people learning how to respect their words, how to reframe what they're asking for. But the universe does provide what you're asking for, whether you're asking it out loud or whether you're asking it internally. Now, some of you might have seen a little while ago, I published a video about the state of overwhelm I've been feeling. And even though in that video, I mentioned how I use modalities to help to smooth over that level of overwhelm, and I take breaths and I try to calm myself, I still seem to have had in my system the energy of, I'm so excited, even though it was framed properly, even though it was framed positively, I'm so excited for when some of these projects are a little bit less hectic. I'm so excited for when there's a bit of pause, and I was using my catchphrase pause and calm so that I can relax and I can enjoy. I can't wait until I get some of these things on my to-do list ticked off so that I can have or give myself permission to relax a little bit deeper. And I thought I was doing a great job of giving myself permission anyways. However, there were some of those energy signatures of poor me, I need a break, I have too much going on in my energy frequency. Clearly, because today, didn't I walk into the exact same chair? Didn't I break the exact same toe on the other side? Of course I did. Of course I went back to the same hospital. Of course there were still the same wonderful staff members there who were laughing at me for not wanting to be there and for trying to grin and bear it. And of course, the universe has found a way to give me exactly what I'm needing and what I am asking for in this now moment. So Varian often also, and even in my pranic healing, will associate the messages from specific body parts to specific bits of information. And I think this is because naturally we are programmed for metaphor. The body has its wonderful metaphors, it has its ways of communicating these things to us. And I have to say that the message, at least this particular part of this particular message, has been received loud and clear. Now, I'm not one to say that you call in your experiences as punishment. However, I am one to say that you call in your experiences as offerings and invitations to learning. If you are to check out Louise Hay's books and what she says about feet in general and what she says about feet injuries or discomfort in the feet, you'll find out that the feet do represent some aspect of stepping into the future. And both when I had this injury on the right side several years ago and now on the left side, there were things that were changing in my experience, and I was stepping into some sort of future that at the time, at least 5 years ago, I didn't know that much about, but now definitely am stepping into a new level of myself, a new future with my membership site and with all of the projects that are coming up for myself and for Vagrian. It is extremely exciting to be stepping into this future, but I have to say that I have been feeling some level of overwhelm. In Louise's books, she talks about how the right side is related to the masculine energies and taking actions. And at that point in my life, I had yet to take any action. In other words, I wasn't channeling yet when this injury happened. I wasn't sharing yet in the way that I do now. And all of those changes were coming up in terms of an asking of me to take action and a fear of that action being taken and stepping into my future. And on the left side, which is the injury I got today, I looked it up and it turns out that that has to do with the feminine energies and the emotional environment. Now, you guys don't necessarily know this about me, but I am an emotional manifester in terms of human design, which means that my authority in life is emotional. I am one of those people who has an emotional wave. I can be up, I can be down, and when I am, I can wear rose-colored glasses or the deepest, darkest black of night glasses and see the world through that lens, which means that it is my responsibility to understand deeply my emotions and to understand also that my decisions can't be made from an emotional basis. They need to be made from clarity, and clarity can only be found through going through the emotions, weathering that storm, and coming out the other side. What other lessons are in this for me? Well, several. The next one that is blatantly obvious to everyone in the orthopedics unit at the hospital is that I should have gotten rid of that chair 5 years ago when it first hurt me. Yes, you cannot blame external circumstances for your situation, but what you can do is recognize what external circumstances are telling you as well. And I am being invited to look at not only where I'm holding onto chairs because they're lovely or because they're this or they're that or whatever, but that actually hurt me. But where else in my life am I holding on to things that are hurting me for the sake of nostalgia? Where am I holding on to relationships with people who wouldn't hesitate to hurt me again for the sake of thinking that it's the right thing to do? There's a lot of that going on, and it's time to also, while I'm getting rid of things and letting go of things, to really sit and evaluate and look at what I've learned in the past and if there are any extra lessons that can be learned there. The chair and any of these relationships perhaps have a service or have had a service, but they're not serving me anymore. And it's safe and actually appropriate and good for me to be letting them go in this now moment. And with regards to my video on Overwhelm from the other day, well, I can see now very clearly what was going on. I feel that that video was great as a reminder that it's okay to have a lot going on, but there was still some element in me. And I think that this is relatable for many people of me feeling like a victim to my own overwhelm and to the own circumstances of my life. I think I was losing sight of my sovereignty and how all those things that are on my plate that are feeling overwhelming to me, they're things that I put there. And therefore, I'm the only one who can decide to simply take them off again. I'm the only one who gets to decide what's important and what's not important to do. I'm the only one who gets to decide what I am going to or not going to do. And I'm the only one who gets to ultimately decide whether or not I'm going to take a pause. I don't need to wait for external circumstances to break my toe again to remind me of this, or clearly I did need to wait for that to happen. But I don't need to anymore wait for that to happen to make sure that I don't have to ever feel the emotion of overwhelm again. I can allow myself to recognize the beauty of having everything that's chaotic and readjusting itself go on in my life and frame it differently. So that is my wonderful new learning that's come from this experience and will be integrated while I have my leg up and am icing that toe and taking care of myself. The last thing I want to mention in terms of things that I've learned is about recurring themes. So clearly breaking my toe is a recurring theme. You'd think that that would have been a lesson learned the first time, but it seems also that there's definitely been a lot of value from me having this experience again today. So I want to touch on this because often people beat themselves up when they have a recurring theme come up, whether it be getting into a similar relationship to one that you've already discovered isn't serving you, or whether it be having the same sort of experience with a parking ticket, or having the same sort of experience with making a similar mistake over and over again. There's no use in beating yourself up because I believe that it delays the process of learning the wonderful things that are available for you if you take the time to dig deep into not necessarily why you have a recurring theme, but what is the recurring theme teaching you and telling you in this now moment? And what has it attempted to teach and tell you in the past? So I'd like to share with you some actionable steps that you can use when you are in a situation similar to this, where you have some sort of recurring theme or pattern come up. Step one is to recognize the recurring theme or pattern. A great tool for this might be journaling or reflecting upon something that's come up for you in the past and what you're feeling in this now moment about it coming up for you again. Step two would be looking for the message that's trying to be shared with you. Take some time to be quiet with yourself, perhaps in meditation or contemplation, and ask yourself, what is the wonderful gift or message that could ultimately come from this experience? Step three is to begin to engage with the experience, engage with that message. Instead of reacting, how can you respond? Instead of going back into a victim mentality, oh, this always happens to me, or oh, I always do this. What can you do now from your new space of awareness to align with the person that you really want to be? Step four is let go of the chair. Find out what in your life represents the chair. What is that thing that's no longer serving you? What is that thing that is causing you harm? What is that pattern, that habit, that behavior, that object, that person, that situation, that circumstance that you have now said enough is enough to, and can get out of your environment, get out of your space, get out of your life, so that your life in and of itself is more aligned with what you want it to be. And then step 5 is creating your pause. If your problem is overwhelmed like mine, then that will look a lot like creating and adding more pauses and calling back in your sovereignty, in your experiencing. But if your pattern is something completely different, figure out to you what it means, that particular key for yourself. What is the thing that is going to tip the scales in your favor so that you're not going to have that sort of experience again, and so that you are nourishing yourself with the wisdom from the new learning that you've gained. I would love to hear from you in the comments if you've faced any sort of recurring patterns and themes, if you've busted through them and how you managed to do that, if you've broken any bones, if you've ever had an experience somewhat like this one, or even if you just want to say hello. I can't wait to respond to all the comments. Please remember to check out my membership site. And I wanted you to know that I'm accepting applications right now for the top level tier, which is the Moldavite membership/mentorship/mastermind program that I am so excited about leading and bringing to you. There's so much amazing content in that particular tier. But I also want you to check out, if you're not ready for that sort of commitment and the potency of the Moldavite tier, the Labradorite and Amethyst tiers, and those doors will be opening on January the 1st. I'm so excited to have you guys in this new membership, and I am super thrilled about all the chaos that I've created in the decision to make it, because I'm now ready to take complete ownership over the unbelievably full life that I've created for myself, with all of its nuances and all of its things on my to-do list. Please make sure to like this video if you like this video, to subscribe to this channel, and to remember that the universe has really funny ways of getting you what you want. But if you can master the skill of finding out how and why everything that occurs to you is you getting what you want, then you are going to have an amazing experience, even with some broken toes. Sending all my love to you.